What's up?
Okay, looks like we're on. All right, everybody, it's Thursday, December 1st, 2016. This is the Board of Selectmen's meeting. First up on our agenda, and I have to apologize that we're starting a little bit late. We had an executive session of the law committee and just ran a little bit late. But the first up on our agenda is a request from the varsity robotics team at Florence Sawyer School to place a couple of turtle crossing signs, which are also shovels to move the turtles off the road and a few known turtle crossings in town. So, why don't you come on down?
So while they're getting set up, I'll introduce them. So my name's Deanna Clark. I'm the founder and coach of Florence Sawyer Robotics. This is our second year, and the first year we implemented a varsity team, so these guys are really on top of their stuff. And they're here to present to you about their project, which is a part of the first LEGO robotics competition. So I'll hand it off to them.
Great.
Here. Sorry.
Our project is called Turtle Traffic. It's by Lizzie,
Maddie,
Fern, and Hallie, and Ashton, who couldn't make it here today. Here's our project outline. Our problem is that turtles are getting hit by cars while crossing the road. Our team's solution is to design a scoop to move this turtle safely across the road. And then so far we've started this with our mentors, Littleton High School robotics team, Bolton Conservative Trust, and Bolton Selectman, and now you. Sorry. So many cards. To go into more depth about crossing the road and getting hit by cars. There are many reasons the turtles need to cross the road. One of the most popular ones is to migrate to a new pond.
Okay, so a fun turtle fact is that the shell of a turtle is actually a modified rib cage, and it's divided into two parts, and the shell also has nerves in it that help blood flow through the shell. So here are some of the common turtles near us. Two of them are the painted turtle and the snapping turtle. So the turtle crossing season is from April to October, and they do different things during the different months. For example, in midsummer to the end of August, the ponds are drying up, so they're finding deeper ponds with deeper water that won't freeze over.
And this is a map of Bolton and towns near Bolton, and the colors represent the different roads, and two of them are, the most frequent ones are Sugar Road and Still River Road. You can see that right there, the purple one. And this is existing solutions. The Massachusetts Wildlife Natural Heritage and the Endangered Species Program are trying to reduce the amount of roadkill of turtles on roads. And the Mass Highway also helps, and some solutions are barriers or fences and wildlife tunnels. And wildlife tunnels are where animals can go under the road instead of on top of it.
The scoop and our idea. Our turtle scoop consists of a PVC pipe, which would be the stand, with a modified snow shovel in it. On the snow shovel is the turtle scoop, but also the sign. On the sign, it'll say "Warning: Turtle Crossing." If you see a turtle crossing on the road, you would pull over, put your hazards on, take the sign out of its post, push the turtle across the road to its destination, the way it was going. You don't want to push it back, and replace the turtle scoop. Then go on with the day. Implementing our solution. So our problem was that the population of turtles is declining due to the cars running them over. We decided to design a scoop that would also function as a sign. And now we're working on getting permission to implement this scoop. Next we're going to build the turtle scoop. We already have the furniture, which is right there. Then we spread the word about the turtle scoop, and finally, our goal: lowering the death rate of turtles. Special thanks to everybody here. We're excited. Websites used. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. How many of these do you propose to place along? I would assume it's the 2 roads that you mentioned.
Yeah. I think,
Well, we know that it can't really be on highways because you wouldn't stop on a highway, or it wouldn't be on Route 117 or Route 10, so it has to be on Sugar Road or Still River Road. And there wouldn't be too many. It really depends on where the turtles are like cross, so it would be near that general area, which would be near conservation areas for ponds.
Do you have a sense of how many there is?
2 to 4, probably.
In total or per road?
Probably per road.
Probably 2.
Okay.
Probably 2 per month. Something like that.
yeah.
Have you talked to the DPW director at all about where you might place these on the side of the road?
I've emailed the DPW director, but we haven't really talked about where we're gonna put them yet.
And how would you secure them so that they wouldn't, it looks like it's pretty stable, but would you do anything to secure it so that it wouldn't tip over?
We might put that part
We might do that part underground, so it would be very stable.
Mhm.
And of course, this is just a prototype. The actual one wouldn't look like this.
Or we'd probably use a bonding material to kind of wedge it underground.
And these would be installed for next season?
Hopefully.
Don't have any other questions?
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. So I would suggest that you make sure you talk to the DPW director about, this is a prototype, but just make sure, he's comfortable with what you're doing and how you might want to, secure it to the ground. But I think it's a good idea.
Great.
Do we need to
Um,
approve anything?
I think they're just looking for support right now. I'm sure you'll come back when you have the final design and all that, and then I think the board could vote on that then.
Sure, okay.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
interesting.
Thank you. Next up on our agenda is to welcome and introduce Rebecca Longval, our Conservation Administrator. And I'm Corp Reporter.
Want to come up or just stand up? I don't know.
You can say.
You can sit. Nice to meet you. Stand up.
Tom Frame, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a seat.
Oh,
So Rebecca has been with us for, about 6 weeks now, is it? And she's off to a great start. It was a long time before we found someone that we were comfortable hiring, and Rebecca's doing a great job. But as is our custom, we like to bring new employees in so you can meet the selectman can meet her. Any questions that you might have for her. But she is I've been really pleased with how she started.
Great. Well, we've actually started on an exciting project.
Oh, yeah.
As we had in the last discussion, so.
Not to mention the entire open space plan that's going to be updated.
Yep. I'm all for the challenge, though. so.
Good, excellent, good. Well, welcome to town. Welcome to town.
Anything for Rebecca?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, if you have any questions, I'm in town hall now, so
Okay,
feel free.
great, well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on our agenda is a request from Randy and Travis Patterson for additional signs at Bolton Bean, 626 Main Street.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So, what can we do you for?
So basically, we bought the coffee and the sandwich banners just kind of as a way to attract the morning commute because we're still having some problems getting them in. And we were hoping basically to keep one out by the road and one by the building just while we were open, just for maybe 3 more months to try and help us get that crowd through the doors.
Drum up some business
Yeah.
for the morning commuters.
Are these different than anything else you have out there at the moment, or?
So it's the two wide by 10 feet tall red banners. One says coffee and one says sandwiches on it.
Okay,
They were already out by the road, but I guess
okay.
there was a complaint about them, so.
okay.
So those are those ones that kind of stand up. and-
Yep, just stand straight up. It's literally 2 feet wide and they just kind of blow in.
It's like a sail. It's
Yeah.
one
Basically,
straight
yeah,
with a little
yep,
curve.
yep.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm fine with that.
It's just a like temporary
Uh-huh.
attraction to hopefully
Yeah.
catch a couple more eyes that are driving by in the morning.
I'm fine with it.
So for 3 months,
Sure,
is that what you were proposing?
yeah,
We'll do 3 months and we'll see.
yeah, where it is.
Where it
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
You know, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so till the end of February then.
All right.
So yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to approve 2 additional signs at the Bolton Bean for the next 3 months.
I'll second that. And if there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Administrator, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I should let Selectman Frame come back in. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I received today, actually, a letter from the State Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development announcing that our grant application, our $1 million plus grant application for the Still River Road intersection was denied. And have not had a chance to get any details as to why. I do know Stowe got an award because I was invited to go to that award ceremony tomorrow, and I'd rather go to our own award ceremony. So, just some highlights from the letter. They received 114 applications totaling over $285 million in funding requests. So obviously there were far more applications and funds requested than there was available. The next MassWorks Infrastructure Program grant round is scheduled to be held in August of 2017, with applications available in the spring. So what they offer here, and this office has historically done this, is if you have a grant application that doesn't result in award, you can go in, meet with the staff. I don't know what they do with this grant, but I would presume that there are review notes. So when I worked for Clinton and I applied for a grant and I didn't get it, I always went in to meet with staff, hopefully get a copy of their review notes, find out where the application might not have scored as highly as those that did get awards, and try to shore it up and go back forward again next year. So I can't give any details yet as to why we didn't score quite as high, but certainly we'll go into Boston to be able to take advantage of that opportunity.
Oh, the other thing also is they only have so much money to give around, so,
That's right.
you know, it's not like they can't award everybody.
No, I mean, and when I used to apply for grants from this office, you know, the times that we didn't get them, you know, the grant was perfectly worthy. It's just that, you know, there were so many applications,
Right.
and some score higher than others, and
Is that Stowe's first round on that, or?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
I believe it was.
What intersection are they doing?
I don't know any details of it. I know that the award ceremony, Secretary Ash will be at the Shaw's, one section of the Shaw's at Stowe tomorrow morning to do the formal award, but
It's a road thing, though?
I don't know what the
Oh,
details are of it.
okay.
I really don't. So I just received that today, but actually this, Jonathan asked that this be placed on the agenda so we could have a short grants discussion. I can say that as we go forward with the portico, I will be pursuing mass historic grant opportunities, whatever they may be. I don't know what they are yet. And we'll be seeking guidance from Representative Hogan on some resources, as well as the local historical society. I'm sorry, commission, not the society. There is a difference. And we will be looking at, for the improvements, or, I'm sorry, for the engineering, for the hope for improvements to 117 down by the high school. I'll be looking to see if there are any resources out there for funding for the engineering. More frequently, there's funding for an actual project after the engineering is done, but that doesn't mean that there may not be some funds for engineering, so I'm going to look into that as well. But any other thoughts that Jonathan may have on grant opportunities, I'd be open to them.
Right, no, but you're right, Don. I mean, typically, it's more typical. You apply for a grant to implement the project. The design work is not necessarily something that's granted.
Well, once we have a goal for a project, you know, I would like to, I mean, you want to pursue funds for all aspects of the project, which would be engineering and the project as well. It's just been, generally speaking, and I haven't written a grant in 7 years, so I don't know how some of the rules have changed, but generally speaking, they want to see that a community has some skin in the game, the skin being the engineering, and then they will go off and fund the actual project.
But I think this to caution everyone that you know, the grant, going after a grant is not a panacea of getting the project done for no cost.
No, I mean,
I think what Don said to me was that, you know, that he'd like to know kind of where we wanted to go, where we want to look for grants, rather than just like looking for any grant. Where do the selectmen, you know, want to focus the attention in looking for grants? And so that's, you know, why I put this on the agenda. You know, I think it would be good. I know it's preliminary, but to look for grants related to the engineering costs, possibly related to the proposal about the local sewer district. So it's just getting those things on, you know, in front of people and kind of looking ahead for, you know, different projects like that.
no, and you're exactly right. I did say that, you know, once we have a project in sight, or a hope for project, or even a real project, you know, you go out and shake every tree you can that would relate to that type of project. And, you know, I'm sure that I'm fairly certain there are opportunities for some of what we're looking at. I don't know if there are for all that we're looking at, but now that we've got some targets, you know, I know pretty much which trees to go off and shake.
Is there a history, like could we go back, what the town has gotten in the past, say go back 5 years or 10 years, and for, you know, just develop a
You mean for
file
like a road project or something like that?
Or whatever because I remember, and this isn't relevant anymore, but there was a routine grant for 911, which we don't need anymore, but.
For routine grants for certain things like that.
Current operations.
For current operations, we don't see a lot. I mean, we get small grants, we get things for to help with recycling and the transfer station, you know, that type of thing. You know, we get small, say $2,000 grants, $3,000 grants like that. Like the last major road project that was done in town that I'm aware of, to show you how long ago it was an earmark. It wasn't a grant.
In the state budget?
In the state budget, that's right. Where then Representative Walrath, thank you, worked to get us an earmark for that. State, in the current condition it's in, doesn't do a lot of earmarks anymore because of budget pressures, but, you know, those are always the types of things to go look for. It's worth a call. It's worth a call, absolutely, yeah. But no, you're absolutely right. Once we know where we're looking at a certain thing, whether it's a sewer district, whether it's a rehab project like the portico, whether it's something to do with the road at the high school, then we have a focus on the type of things that we're looking for.
So what's the grant that Jennifer Burney alerted us to.
That was part of the complete, that was part of Complete Streets. We actually did get the notice today that our community compact was approved, which is good news. So we'll be looking at, there'll be actually a ceremony set up at some point. Someone from the Lieutenant Governor's office, if not the Lieutenant Governor, I'm sure will be out for some sort of a ceremony for that.
So part of signing up for that comes with grant opportunities.
Comes with grant opportunities. We get, the last budget I saw, and I want to confirm the budget, the last budget I saw was around $19,000 that, for an award relative to technical assistance through the planning agency. We would have a $5,000 match if we accept it, which I'm sure we would, in a 4-to-1 ratio. But what I don't know yet is if in-kind work would be considered along with, does it have to be financial, or can it be in kind? Many times it can be in kind. You know, perhaps Erica's labor on some of that. So those are the type of things. Again, we just got notice today that we were approved for the community compact, so there'll be some work to be done in that area too.
Okay. Anything else done?
No, not at this time.
Okay. All right, next we'll move on to the Board of Selectmen business and vote to establish the Water Resource Subcommittee and advertise for volunteers to serve on the subcommittee.
Yeah, this comes from a selectmen's meeting that we had over the summer where Jonathan had the idea that creating a Water Resource Subcommittee would be helpful in helping us try to deal with drought situations, whether it's educating people or doing various types of research. We've got several points in the mission statement proposed here. Jonathan and I met after that meeting, actually fairly recently, just a couple of weeks ago, to put some thoughts together. So the format you see here is the normal charge that a subcommittee would be given to go off and perform whatever tasks. So obviously it's a draft. Any suggested edits obviously are welcome, and then once the Board of Selectmen finalizes the charge for the subcommittee, then we would advertise in the local paper for people who are interested. I know we already have some names of people who have said that they're interested, but certainly all are welcome.
It's fine to me. I mean, I'm sure things will change a little bit as time goes on. I think once this subcommittee is formed, there are a couple of items on here that probably going to require the expenditure of some funds, and I think they probably need to go and talk to the advisory committee as they're formed to figure out whether or not they want to get some money to do this stuff.
There will be things that can be done without the need of a budget. Some things may need a budget, but
Right.
we can certainly get them started.
I mean, I'm fine with the way it is.
I am too.
I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the form for the Water Resources Subcommittee.
Actually vote to establish and advertise.
And then we will advertise, and then I would say for the meeting, which is January 12th, that we can come back with a list of people who are interested, and then the selectmen can decide, how many people you want to appoint to the committee.
Sounds good. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next up, a discussion and possible on the appointment of Francis C. Baker as the new Bolton Controller.
This is a follow-up to a previous discussion we had where the board did approve the hiring.
This is Frank Baker.
Frank, good to see you again.
Good to see you again, sir.
Tom Frame, nice to meet you.
Frank, nice to meet you.
Chief, how are you?
Jonathan, nice to meet you.
John, nice to meet you, Frank.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
So there is, we are trying to move forward as quickly as possible with the hire because we are looking at some mounting overtime if we don't get another body.
Last month was a little higher than normal, just because I do have an open position. which was created, I put another diagram in, if anybody wants to just review it again later. When Chief Alfano was here, we had 11 people, 11 full-time people. And once he retired, and the chain reaction of everybody moving up, plus adding the SRO to 40 hours a week, we went up to 12 people, full-time staff. So currently, we have one established open patrol officer position that, obviously we'd like to fill as soon as possible. And we got the advertising out, we had a hiring committee, we went through about less than a dozen applicants, which I do have to at least let everybody know, there's a lot of openings out there, and there's not a lot of people that want to get into this profession right now. Obviously, if you're watching the news, we've seen a drastic decrease in the number of people that want to be police officers right now. So I hate to move slowly on a lot of things because he could go anywhere. Obviously, he's here. He's hoping to get a job tonight and hoping to get hired and put his notice in where he's working now so he can get here and start training. We had another candidate that we were looking at that took another job before we finished our background check. We had 2 people in the background check. Obviously, we had some indication that the SRO was leaving, Eric Kukos. He did give us notice, and he's going to be taking a job at Drake. So I will have another opening in 2 weeks, which we've already started to advertise to fill his position. And we've dropped Casey Hool, who is his backup SRO. She's in the school as we speak now. Eric's taken a few days off to get his affairs in order, but Casey's in. So, but tonight I'm here to put Frank in front of you. He's lives in Plainville, high school graduate. When he got out of high school, he went right into the military, U.S. Army, the Cavalry Scout Security Specialist. After the 3 years in the military, he re-enlisted to the Army National Guard, and he's been working at Atlantic Tactical as a sales associate down in Needham? Westwood, I suppose. So he's been there a couple of years. Background check, psychological, physical, everything came back positive, passed everything. Well-respected, hard-working individual from everybody we talked to. Highly ethical. His father's a police lieutenant down in Norwood, so he's got a little bit of police experience, listening to scanners and following Dad around. And he's a great candidate for this position. So.
He was very impressive in his interview, too.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Chief Nelson, I just had a question about process. So when you do a background check, do you write a report?
Yes, we do.
You do, okay. So Don and I spoke about this. I would feel better if Don and Human Resources, Don and Madden were kind of reviewing those and initialing them. Don and Donna said they get kind of a verbal from you, but I think it's important that they're closely involved in that process. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up as something.
Jonathan and I did discuss that, and my response was, a verbal report from the chief of police is satisfactory to me. I take the chief at his word. If I'm told that a background check is solid, then it's solid to me, because we have had background checks on candidates in the past that came back with things that, good thing we found them when we did the background check, and we've always reported that to me as well. So it's not like, the background checks always come back clean, because they don't. So, if the board wants to create a policy that Donna and I see a physical copy of the background check, that's up to you. I personally don't see the need for it, because I don't see a problem that needs to be solved.
I would agree with Don. This has been past practice, and you can't rely on the chief of police to provide the information. Then there's a problem. So
I don't think there's a problem. I just think it's important to spread the responsibility. The Human Resource Director should be looking at background checks, and I certainly would expect the town administrator to be familiar with what's in it. So just as part of the chain of command, you know, I think it's important. So I'd like to make a motion that Human Resources Director and the Town Administrator read and initial, you know, all background checks for all employees.
I don't think it's appropriate to have this discussion now. The discussion is whether we're going to be hiring Francis Baker. We do not have an agenda item that discusses the change in policy at this point in time, so it's really not appropriate to have this discussion at this point in time.
That
Mr.
was
Schnitzel.
more or less Birch Schnitzler Meadow Road. I was going to say, if you're going to change policy, change it going forward, but right now you're discussing a candidate.
Were you anticipating holding this higher up for?
No, it would be going forward.
So, I agree it's not on the agenda. My initial gut reaction is I don't see why that would be handled any differently, but I think what we need is motion on this hire then. If there's no other.
Right, I think that's what, and if we're going to have a separate discussion about that, then we should have it as an agenda item in another meeting.
I will say it seems to make sense to me what Jonathan was saying, that the paper will be passed to HR. I know it's not on, but.
We could certainly put it on for the next
Yeah.
meeting.
But I did read the paperwork you submitted. You sound like a fine young man, and I have no questions of him other than what I've read.
Certainly going forward, whatever the board determines, you know, if that's the policy, if that's the way things are going to be done in the future, by all means, whatever system you want to put into effect later is fine.
All right, then I'll take a motion to appoint Francis C. Baker as the new Bolton patrolman.
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you, gentlemen. Congratulations. Thank
you. Welcome on board.
Nice meeting you, thank you. I have a copper-colored Ford Edge, so just... I'm good with faces, not so much with names, so... Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, have a good night.
Thank you. Good night. Okay. Next up is schedule the Board of Selectmen's meetings from January to May of 2017.
So Linda and I reviewed the schedule in advance, the calendar in advance to make some recommendations. I'll give you a chance to get caught up. For the most part, trying to stick with the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. We were looking at January 12th and 26th, February 9th and 23rd, March 9th, 23rd, and the 30th for the purpose of signing the annual town meeting warrant. So that would be a 5-minute meeting or so. And then Thursday, April 13th, and Thursday, April 27th. And then, just to get one scheduled past the election, would be Thursday, May 11th. And then the new board, if there is a new board, but the board at the time would set the schedule on from there.
Okay.
So the last one we're agreeing to is the 11th?
Yes.
Yes.
So I just wanted to see if those dates work for the board.
So in February, are we overlapping on the school break?
I don't know. I don't know when the break is. Are there no parents in the audience?
I'm a parent, I think.
Yes, the holiday is the 20th, and so it would be the week of vacation that you're talking about, the 23rd.
Okay. So if that's a problem, we could,
That would be a conflict for me.
okay. Then we could skip the meeting on the 23rd, although that is budget season, so that would be a bit tricky. We could tentatively have a meeting scheduled for March 2nd, and then if it's not needed, we could cancel that and then stay on schedule from there. Pushing out 1 week rather than pulling in. Would that work?
So what are you proposing?
I'm proposing to not having a meeting on February 23rd and then sort of pencil in March 2nd for now to see if that meeting is needed, knowing we're also going to be meeting the 9th and the 23rd.
Sure.
And then briefly on the 30th.
Sure.
So we could spend a lot of time together in March.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Alrighty. And I don't think we have any minutes this week. Okay. Any other business, gentlemen? Okay, hearing none, what we're gonna be doing next is moving into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to contract negotiations with non-union personnel. The board will reconvene into open session afterwards. Can't tell you how long that will be, so. We'll reconvene to open session once we're conclude the executive session.
Always get serious.
All right, folks, we're back. It's still December 1st, 2016. It's still the Board of Selectmen's meeting. We just come out of executive session discussing Don's contract. At this point in time, what I can say is that a contract was voted on and provided to Don for his review and comment. The vote was 2-1 for this particular contract. Mr. Lowe will be reviewing some items within the contract, and we will be having yet another executive session on December 15th to review whatever comments Mr. Lowe might have, and we'll see what happens. And I would suggest probably that we have the executive session at the end of the regular meeting so that we can continue on. And that's about all I can say right now, ladies and gentlemen. See you all on the 15th, where we will have the executive session and we will reconvene into open session, because as you know, that is the last meeting in 2015, and per Don's original contract, we do have to come to some conclusion one way or the other by that meeting, unless we schedule another meeting. And then typically what happens is, if something is agreed upon, then, and if there is a vote taken, then we have to reconvene into open session and ratify that vote by voting again in open session. Yes, Bob?
So if I'm understanding the process correctly, you actually, you have to be voting on a contract. It's not enough to vote just to renew the contract, or just that you're going to offer a contract.
We voted on a form of a contract to allow Mr. Lowe to take a look at it.
Okay.
So.
But under the terms of the contract agreement, do you have to have an agreed-to contract by December 31st, or can you just agree that you're going to just have a vote that you're going to offer a contract?
I believe technically it is by this December 31st, we have to notify Mr. Lowe that we are either going to extend the contract to him or not. And the more important item is, if we're not going to extend the contract, then we have to notify Mr. Lowe by December 31st.
Okay, but you don't have to have the contract negotiated and final by December 31st then?
Was that?
I think under the existing contract, it requires, if you're not going to, you have to notify by the 31st. If you don't notify by the 31st, it's an automatic extension, I think.
It's a one-year extension, as I understand.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't agree to enter into negotiations, then it's an automatic.
Okay, but you could agree to enter into negotiations by December 31st and not have, which says you do not have to have the contract ratified by December 31st.
I think you could agree to anything. You could agree to extend that date.
But I guess, I don't know if this is the question, but the fact that you voted 2-1 tonight to extend a contract, that does not fulfill the requirements under Mr. Lowe's current contract, that you've notified him before the year that you wish him to remain? Is that-
I guess that's the case.
Right, I mean,
I guess that's been done.
yeah, you've already, you
But do
basically.
you have to have that vote in open session?
We have to, it has to be finally ratified in open session.
Okay.
But at this juncture, we've offered Mr. Lowe the latitude to review certain items in that contract and provide his comments. So there potentially could be another vote to alter what we voted on tonight.
But at very least, the part of the contract that says you have to notify him by December 31st of your intent to renew his contract, that is satisfied.
I would assume so, since we voted to offer Mr. Lowe a contract and allow him to review it.
Okay.
I would say we satisfied that criteria.
Is that a statement or a question?
Both. Is it a floor wax or a dessert topping?
First of all, let me say Tom is exactly right. We could always mutually agree to extend. That being said.
Extend when
I'm just acknowledging that Tom is correct.
Yeah.
The question that was asked the answer is not necessarily yes. Because if theoretically a contract is offered to me and I accept it, or just further discussion and we come to terms, then the criteria is met. But it's, I'm better off not speculating. I should just.
We'll leave it as is.
I agree.
Stay tuned to December.
I did say you were right.
Once in a lifetime.
So, if there are any other questions that I won't answer, you can ask them now. If the board has no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I can make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.